Hi, it's Dwyer, gamblersadvisory.com. Here to talk about an upcoming fight, Abner Maris against Joseph Agbeko for the Bantamweight Championship in Showtime's tournament. Before I go further, just remember, the opinion you should follow should be your own. Just consider this video to be a second opinion from a complete stranger online. Now, as the few of you who watched my Nikki Cook, Ricky Burns video remember, I'm not a doctor, at least not a medical doctor. I just pretend to play one when I'm making boxing videos. And I've done a little research. These two guys were supposed to fight a few months ago. And Joseph Agbeko had to pull out of that match because he was suffering from something called sciatica. So I did a little research because I was a bit curious how a guy just a few months after being diagnosed with sciatica could actually feel that he's ready to fight a professional fighter who was operating at championship level like Abner Maris. Now, I looked up sciatica, and I found out that sciatica is often characterized by the following symptoms: pain on one side of the buttock or in one leg that is worse when sitting, burning or tingling down the leg, weakness, numbness, or difficulty moving the leg or foot, a constant pain on one side of the rear, a sharp pain that may make it difficult to stand up or to walk. In fact, it says here the term sciatica describes the symptoms of leg pain and possibly tingling, numbness, or weakness that originates in the lower back and travels through the buttock and down the large sciatic nerve in the back of the leg. I got to tell you, when I hear about back problems, my first thought, with a nod to Malcolm Gladwell, the author of Blink, my first thought is that that doesn't go with boxing. That certainly doesn't go with championship boxing. Then when I look at Joseph Agbeko in the Yanni Perez rematch, how much he uses his back. Understand, this is a guy who bends at the waist for prolonged periods of time. That's how he prevents his body from getting hit with body punches. When I see the wear and tear that this guy puts on his back, and when I see a young lion like Abner Maris literally bringing the fight to guys like Vic Darchinyan, knockout artists like Vic Darchinyan. Look at Darchinyan's knockout ratio. And when I realize that this fight is a 12-rounder and that Abner Maris is going to be going after Joseph Agbeko from the word go, I'm scratching my head when I see that Abner Maris is only a -175 favorite. That's a stunner. Even if you believe these guys are evenly matched, the minute one of them comes down with sciatica, let's substitute in two different words: nerve problems, right? The minute one of them has nerve problems where they're feeling tingling down the side of their leg and they're having a problem with their feet and their leg, and you're talking about having this guy stand up for 12 rounds, move around the ring. Keep in mind, just doing jumping jacks with sciatica stuff for 12 rounds. You're telling me that Joseph Agbeko is going to be in the ring with Abner Maris for 12 rounds, bobbing, weaving, ducking punches, moving around, trying to avoid an offensive onslaught? You're telling me he's going to be able to do that just a few months after sciatica? Not only that, when you research sciatica, you're going to find out that sometimes surgery is needed. And, oh yeah, that surgery involves the disc of your spinal column, right? Because apparently those discs might be pinching the nerve. You know, all I can say is I like Abner Maris in this fight. The first thing anyone picking fights needs to think about is health. I mean, before I even get to the styles, and I know my motto is styles make fights, but wow, before you even get to the styles, you've got to be healthy enough to operate. And I'm sorry, I'm not buying this pre-fight hype. I'm a skeptic on whether Joseph Agbeko is healthy enough to be Joseph Agbeko in this fight. I mean, sciatica sounds like it's a, injury that never really fully goes away. And all I'm saying is you can be 100% or at least feel 100% healthy in those early rounds. The wear and tear on your body, and keep in mind, boxing is a contact sport. The wear and tear on your body by round 7 and 8 might literally trigger, this nerve problem. All that has to happen for this fight to end is for Joseph Agbeko to be physically tested and then for him to start feeling problems with his sciatic nerve, right? It prevented him already from fighting the first time. If it happens in the middle of this fight, it's going to prevent him from finishing, right? So the bet I'm recommending, and these are off odds I saw on Odds Checker, is I like Maris to win at minus 175, straddled against Agbeko by KO at plus 550, right? You're getting such huge odds on Agbeko by KO that actually enables you to bet more on Maris to win at minus 175. For the risk-taking part of my subscribers, the group that wants to totally maximize their revenue, I would personally throw in a kicker of Maris by stoppage, simply because, not that I believe Agbeko is going to suddenly lose his defense, but what I do feel is that there is a possibility that this condition starts to bother Agbeko late in this one, and he's a wily veteran who knows his body well enough to know when it's not his night. He might well just decide not to come out for a round in a fight in which his body is just not cooperating. Let's talk about the styles too. Joseph Agbeko, who does throw a good straight right hand from distance, I'll concede that. He does throw a good straight right hand, but most of the time, Joseph Agbeko is throwing wide punches, right? Let me go further. I don't think he can fight inside. I think the reason he bends at the waist, the reason he puts that much stress on his back, is he's the opposite of a Roberto Duran, right? Great inside fighters, Bernard Hopkins, they get inside and they know how to protect their body inside. In fact, they know how to tie you up inside, hold one hand, hit you with the other, right? Literally give you the business inside, come inside, hit you, be up close. Joseph Agbeko is a guy who has to bend forward, so only the top part of his body is inside. He himself is not, right? And I just don't think that he can fight that well inside. I'll even go further. Because he throws looping punches, understand when you're fighting inside, you have to shorten the punches to land them inside, right? The good inside fighters can throw very short punches. I don't believe that Joseph Agbeko has the center of gravity to do so. I don't think he can shorten up his punches. His punches, to me, all have a loop on them except for that straight right hand that he's able to get off from distance. By the way, he can't throw a straight left hand, right? It's a straight right hand that he's able to throw from distance. Now, Abner Maris, he's the opposite. This is a guy who, in my opinion, is more talented than Joseph Agbeko. The problem with Abner Maris is, and this happens to fighters, is sometimes he just gets too comfortable in the ring. Sometimes he just ignores the obvious. I'm watching the Vic Darchinyan fight. Everyone knows Vic Darchinyan is one-handed. What was Abner Maris doing early in that fight? Early. Getting hit with Vic Darchinyan's one hand and getting dropped. Looking at the film, I had to scratch my head. I was thinking, wow, I know Maris is a better fighter than this. And of course, he was. He actually went on to win that fight. Looked a lot better after he got off the canvas. But this is a talented guy who gets in the ring, and literally the bullets have to start flying for this guy to kind of wake up and realize, oh my goodness, let me start showing my talents. That first fight, his fight against Yanni Perez. And I picked Perez to win that fight, and the fight ended in a draw. Right? Many people, Fernando Vargas, the former champion, who was ringside apparently, thought that Maris won the fight. I got an avalanche of email after that fight telling me they thought Maris won the fight. All I can say is this. Take a look at the first few rounds of that fight. I'll concede, looking at that fight again, Abner Maris should have won that fight. But what's he doing in the first few rounds of that fight? Not only that, I thought Yanni Perez and Abner Maris off camera are boys. I thought these guys used to spar together. These guys these guys know each other. These guys used to live together, right? I believe Maris's dad used to be Yanni Perez's manager or something like that. So what's Abner Maris doing early in that fight when he's fighting a guy he's already fought several times in sparring, and yet in the early part of that fight, Maris is getting out-hustled. Then you see him at the end of the fight, and you're like, wow, this guy has this ability. Why did he give away some of these early rounds? So Abner Maris, I'll say this. An upset Abner Maris is a bad man. He's very talented. I think he's more talented than Joseph Agbeko, right? But if Abner Maris is not upset, let's hope somebody in his corner reminds him, hey, son, this is a championship fight. You win this, you win the entire tournament. I believe Abner Maris does just that. I'm not buying Joseph Agbeko's miraculous recovery in a few months from sciatica. I actually feel that injury is going to be a problem for Agbeko. I also think he's fighting a younger lion who, quite frankly, matches him in foot speed, is going to be trying to walk him down the entire fight, and should be even more aggressive than he was against Vic Darchinyan, because Darchinyan, who Agbeko beat in an earlier fight, actually has a bigger punch than Agbeko and is a southpaw, right? I believe there was more hesitancy from Maris in that fight than there will be in this fight. I'm expecting Maris to walk down Agbeko. I believe a late stoppage is a distinct possibility. I'm recommending a straddle. Maris to win, -175. Straddled against Agbeko by KO, +550. Agbeko has a puncher's chance, but I do not expect Agbeko to be able to outbox Abner Maris. I believe Abner Maris is the more talented fighter. I believe he throws the straighter punches. I believe he has the better boxing skills. I'm expecting him to win this fight. Let me know what you think. Straddle it, though. Always be safe with Agbeko by KO at +550. Let me know what you think. Leave your comments for me here on YouTube. Visit us at gamblersadvisory.com. Thanks for watching.